So the role of a Scrum Master is one that's often misunderstood, I find, because it's really different from what we from any type of role that we've had in the software industry before. A lot of times people think, well, the Scrum Master is just the person that schedules the meetings and takes the notes, right? Which is the same thing that an admin does, which is a valuable role, but it's not the role of the Scrum Master. Other people think, well, the Scrum Master is like a project manager, and their job is to drive the team to get the results, which is also not what a Scrum Master is. Scrum really believes in this idea that, hey, we're all adults. We don't need somebody to drive us if we're all bought into the same goal. We can work together. What I think of the role of Scrum Master is somebody who is not actually doing development on the team, but are able to stand back a little bit and be almost like a neutral observer. And instead of observing, this code check-in or this feature and the way that that's being built, their job is to stand back and say, what is the process that the team is using right now and how well is that working for them? And it's really hard to do that if you're actually on the team. If you're actually writing code and testing code and figuring out how to develop different features, it's very hard. It's kind of a forest for the trees problem. You're so focused on the actual problem that you're not focused on how the problem is being solved. And the role of the Scrum Master is to step back a little bit from the team, be a neutral observer about what's being built, and say, how are they building it? And are there opportunities for how we could do that in a more effective way, a more engaging way, a way that's going to help us deliver value faster for our customers? And so that's really what I think of the job of the Scrum Master is. And so that ends up resulting in facilitating that retrospective, the sprint retrospective, to say what's working about our process and what's not. A lot of coaching about the process itself to say, hey, I noticed that we're not having an effective daily Scrum meeting. How should we change that to make it more effective? And they're really focusing on the kind of the teamwork. How do people work together? Are there issues between this person and that person, and what should we do about that? Do we actually trust each other on this team? Are we able to have a collaborative conversation, or is this person always, jumping in and just thwarting anybody else's ideas? So they're focused on the teamwork, they're focused on the process, and really they're stepping back a little bit and focusing on how we build stuff, not what we build.
So the Scrum Master is a very interesting role. It's an interesting reformulation of the project manager role. In traditional software development, the project manager walks around with a clipboard or the virtual equivalent thereof and says, are you done yet? When are you going to be done? How much longer is it going to take? Okay, cool. I'm going to come back tomorrow and ask you the same questions. Takes all that information from all the different people building stuff up, creates a report, and says, this is where the project is, and this is where I think we're going to be in 2 weeks. This is where I think we're going to be in 2 months. Here's where I think we're going to be in 2 years. Scrum Master role has some aspects of that, but the entire purpose of a Scrum Master is different. The entire purpose of a Scrum Master can be summed up pretty succinctly in one phrase. Get rid of everything that makes a team not capable of shipping software. That is your biggest number one job. Remove impediments. When one of the founders of Scrum, Jeff Sutherland, talks about his archetypal example of what removing an impediment means. He had a team who, as they were working through one of their sprints, he noticed that they were going downstairs and leaving the office 2 or 3 times a day, 10, 15 minutes at a time. They were in a big office tower. They were coming back with a cup of coffee. And so he said, I notice that you guys are all at different times kind of leaving the building and going out to get a cup of coffee. What's going on here? And they said, well, the CEO said, we can't have a coffee machine, and I think it's bad for productivity. So as a Scrum Master, Jeff said, my job is to make sure I remove that impediment from you. If I got you a coffee maker, do you think you'd like that? Do you think that would be helpful for you? And they're like, yeah, we don't want to walk downstairs to get coffee all the time. So he did. He got the coffee maker, and the CEO complained. And Jeff said, this is the essence of what's important. This is how I'm going to be able to meet the shipping deadline that you want to meet, to be able to build the software that you want. You have to let me and the team make the rules. There's another great example of a Scrum Master that I was reading about a couple of months ago, the company had created a bonus plan and said, we are going to bonus individuals on the work that they did. And the Scrum Master and the team said, we refuse to participate in your bonus program. We don't want to do it. We want to be bonused as a team because what we think is important is the work that we're getting done as a team. What we think is important is the software that we're shipping. It's not whether or not I fixed more bugs or he wrote more code or she designed the best interface. It's whether or not we delivered something to the customer. Now, when you're thinking like that and you have somebody helping the team catalyze their experience and think about what they're doing as a group and thinking about what they're delivering as value to a customer rather than lines of code or function points, you really have a lot closer connection to what you're delivering. You have a much happier team. You have a connection to what you're building that's very different. I think Scrum Masters naturally are the kind of people who gravitate towards wanting people to work together, gravitate towards wanting people to be really pulling in the same direction. A coxswain would be a great Scrum Master, getting people to row all in the same direction. Somebody who likes to throw a lot of parties is a great Scrum Master, wants to have people having fun, be focused on the same kinds of things. A pilot is not always going to be a great Scrum Master, but in some cases, a flight attendant is. You've got somebody who's interested in thinking about what's really important for people to be comfortable and working really hard together. I think those are the things that make a great Scrum Master, in addition to the technical skills that are important and the desire to see software shipped.